You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number.
So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us.
137. Hey, gorgeous. By the time you hear this, I will be in Poland. I will, God willing, be in Turek, Poland, which is in central Poland, preparing for a family wedding on Jack's side. His cousin is getting married on Wednesday, the 14th. And there's a group of us, there's 7 of us that traveled from the US, from Alaska, from California, from Maryland, and Jack and I from Chicago to go meet some new family that we haven't met and celebrate the ones that we have met. So we're very excited, and congratulations to Julia and Yannick on your wedding. And thank you for having us and letting us celebrate with you. Before I forget to tell you, if you are not on my mailing list, you probably have not heard yet that I am hosting a free class. This is going to be the first of its kind, and you will not want to miss it. If you have ever felt super awkward when somebody has asked you how many kids you have, and then you tell them that you have no kids, and they give you this blank stare, and you just don't know where to go after that, this is the class for you. I am hosting a free webinar on September 10th at 6 p.m. Central Time. I am doing it to allow anyone who has ever felt super awkward or felt at a loss for words when somebody asks you, do you have kids? So this webinar is going to help you figure out, how do you respond to comments like that? Because I know that they're catching you off guard. I know that you feel probably really violated by questions like that. And I want to be able to help you. So make sure that you log on to the webinar. If you can't make it, I will send out the replay, but you have to register for the webinar. The link is right here in the show notes. So let's get started this week. This might be a little bit of a quicker episode, but I want to talk about disappointment. How many times have you felt super disappointed, either by your story, either by the way that things have turned out in your life? Maybe disappointed when somebody asks you if you have kids and your answer has to be no. Like, you probably feel really disappointed. It doesn't feel good to feel disappointed. I know that we have been raised to believe that we shouldn't disappoint people. But when you're somebody who tried everything that you could and you weren't able to achieve your goal of motherhood, it's hard to figure out what's next. So disappointment, what it really is it's a judgment that you have of yourself. And I know that seems like maybe I'm pointing fingers at you, but really what I want to allow you to see is that ability to decide whether the things that you are thinking about yourself are worthy of disappointment. I know that there's times when you're like, gosh, like I feel super bummed about the way things turned out. Like, of course, yes. You know me, I'm into like this 50-50. Sometimes things feel good, sometimes things don't feel so great, and that's okay. But if you are walking around feeling as though you are disappointing people left and right because your husband or your partner couldn't become a parent, because people ask you if you've tried this, that, and the other to become a mom, and you know that you have, but they think that, you haven't tried enough, it could feel super disappointing. But you are able to decide that you don't want to be disappointed by you. It sucks to walk around being disappointed. Think about like how awful it feels when you're disappointed with other people. Now, compound that by 8,000 because you're disappointed by yourself. So know that disappointment doesn't have to carry like this loud voice in your brain forever. This is the type of stuff that we work on in the Thrive After Infertility Mastermind. How to create forgiveness for yourself, how to create a path for you and this new story for you. And a lot of people think that living a disappointed life is what people do when they're childless, not by choice. I'm on so many different groups, online chats, and Facebook groups, and groups on Reddit where woman after woman is writing about how disappointing her life is and how cheated she feels by her life. And I don't think that you deserve to live that way. There is absolutely nothing that you have signed up for in your life that warrants you feeling disappointed with who you are and who you have become. Can we just decide now that there's an opportunity to give ourselves some slack? Like when you're disappointed at someone, like I think of like the worst feelings of disappointment is when I did something in air quotes bad as a kid and my parents would be like, "We're so disappointed with you." Like that totally sucked. Like those feelings still stick with me. I'm still working through those childhood traumas of being a disappointment to my parents. And the truth of the matter is, I have come so far in the work that I've done with this thing that's been ingrained in me that I'm constantly disappointing people that I decided, like, I'm going to stop that here. I know that I tried everything that I could to become a mom. I know that things that I chose not to do to become a mom, for example, adoption, egg donor, for me, surrogacy wasn't an option, but for you, it might have been. Like, if those were options that weren't right for you, there's no need to be disappointed with yourself for not pursuing those things. I'm on a soapbox here because disappointment is something that holds you back. When you are feeling disappointed, you pinch yourself off from trying things for fear that they won't end up in the perfect way or in a way that you have expected it to end up. So many of us who have gone through fertility treatments and not been able to become moms are kind of perfectionists, right? We didn't stop at, okay, I couldn't have a child naturally just by timed intercourse. So I went on to do this next thing because you are an achiever. You are somebody who is goal oriented. You are somebody who knows that there are possibilities to do things, and you go out and you figure out how to do them. And being somebody who did all that, not being able to become a mom, does not mean that you are a disappointment. To me, I see you as an achiever. I see you as a goal getter. I talked about that on one of my very early episodes here in the podcast, how women who go through fertility treatments are action oriented women. So don't let your brain tell you that you have disappointed yourself, that you have disappointed your mom, that you've disappointed your partner, that you disappointed your in-laws. I know I lived in a lot of that where I felt like my in-laws didn't have grandchildren from my husband's siblings. So I thought it was my responsibility to make them grandparents. And when I couldn't do that and we weren't able to achieve that, I felt like I disappointed them. And the truth of the matter is, my father-in-law, God bless, I know you're probably listening, Dad. One of your first episodes that you listened to of the podcast, I remember you texting me and you said, we weren't disappointed by you. And that meant so much for me to hear that from somebody that I thought I had let down for so long. And I want you to think that you are worthy of letting go of these feelings of disappointment that you've been carrying around. So I hope that you have a beautiful week. I'll check in next week. I'm guessing I'll be in Italy, but as you know, Jack and I are not big planners, but the plan is to be in Italy, possibly on the Amalfi Coast when this next podcast episode next week comes out. So I'll talk to you then. Have a beautiful week. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. Hey, real quick, I just want to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called the Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/things people say.